Welcome, foolish mortals, to Count Gauntly's Horrors from the Public Domain. I am your host, Count Simon Gauntly, and each episode I'll be leading you on a journey through the history of film. Specifically, we'll be exploring that eldritch abyss known as the public domain. These are films forgotten by time or abandoned by their creators. The strange, the horrifying, the poorly and cheaply produced. All of these are the purviews of the public domain. So what are we waiting for? Come, join me in my crypt. It's bigger on the inside. Come, join me.
There lived a man so long ago, Count Gauntly was his name. His horror host abilities had brought him wide acclaim. The people flocked from miles around each Gauntly movie night, not knowing that the films he showed infringed on copyright. Upon discovering this fact and learning it was true, an angry mob of lawyers formed with pitchforks, torches too. They tracked the Count and sought to stop his movie hosting ways, and torches blazing put an end to Gauntly's earthly days. But our man was too resilient to let death be the last word. He stirred, sat up upon his slab and vowed he must be heard. So he stocked his tomb with gadgets from the local studio, intent on showing movies on an awesome TV show. But he had to find a legal way, so Gauntly racked his brain. 'Twas then he learned of something called the public domain. Now here he is, the time has come, his dreams are coming true. Count Gauntly's here to share a film in hopes that you won't sue.
Hello, and welcome once again to Count Gauntly's Horrors from the Public Domain. If you can't hear me very well, it's because I have undergone a wardrobe transformation. We always like to try new things here on this show, and so I am trying out this suit of antique armor to see if it works, because, you never know what's going to happen. You want to be well equipped for self-defense.
And I'm the Blizzard Wizard, here to help Count Simon test out his armor. I'm glad I'm not in there. I'm glad that I'll get to see how good it works and not be at risk of dying. So I'm just gonna...
No, you'll have to do better than that. All right, you got anything else in your arsenal?
I've got a wooden dowel to see what I can do with.
Not quite. Oh,
No?
it's a pretty good investment, I think. Let's see what else there's back there.
Alrighty.
Oh my gosh.
Did this come with that armor? How'd you get this?
I scrounge around. Oh,
Whoa, hey guys, sorry I'm late. Yeah. It's been real busy at the North Pole these days.
hey, it's the projectionist, aka Santa Claus.
Yeah, most of the year I'm Santa Claus, that's true. But, it's July right now. There's not a lot of need for Santa jobs right now. I'm sort of filling in wherever I can. Right now I'm delivering important messages to important people. And let me tell you, Mr. Gauntly, I've got a very important message for you today from your friend, FreakSlice.
Oh, thank you. Could you assist me, Blizzard Wizard? I don't have as much manual dexterity as I once did. There it is. There we are. Dear Crypt Dwellers. Oh, it's a videogram.
It's been an amazing couple of years. I've been exploring the world, working on my thesis. See, I'm working on just why nature is so cool. And it's hard to say why in just one sentence, so I've been studying, and I have more studying to do. In fact, I'm going to the great, unknown world of Portland, Oregon. all the way out on the west coast. I know it's so far away from the crypt. What will I do? Well, I can visit, but it's gonna take lots of traveling. You know, I gotta use all my magic powers. It's a very long distance, but I'm going for a good reason. It's going to be amazing. I have so many stories I can't wait to tell that I haven't even explored yet. There are bears, and there are lots of salmon, so I'm going to see all the cool salmon. Yeah.
Oh, well, FreakSlice is moving away.
Oh my.
Oh,
He's been here for years. He's always been a crucial member to this crypt group.
That's right. He's a font of wisdom and tranquility, and I just don't know that we can keep things going without him. I mean, he's the one who's always traveling around, but maybe we need to learn how to travel to track him down and retrieve him. So let's watch this next film that will tell us how to go places.
Know where the Lee Bonnell family of Hollywood is going? Vacation. That wonderful American institution of going new places and doing new things. The vacation baggage is all packed and the family car is in tip-top shape, all checked and ready to go places. The Bonnells consider themselves experts on how to go places in the family car. Part of the job of being an expert is knowing how to get ready to go. Last vacation, this expert left the lawn sprinklers running. This expert forgot to leave a note for the milkman. So this year, the experts have a checklist. The checklist makes it easy to know what to take. Of course, it also makes it easy to know what not to take. With the family baggage all together, on display, anyone can do a good job of packing. A neat trick? When the things you'll want first are the last to be packed, they'll be easier to find. And here's a tip. One bag holding toilet articles, pajamas, and a change of light clothing for the entire family can save a lot of unpacking and repacking. Lee takes an expert's pride in keeping the passenger spaces clear and unobstructed. But even so, blocking that door on the traffic side is a good safety precaution if you're traveling with children. There's a small cushion or two for sleepyheads, and to help stretch distances between stops, a jug of water, some cookies, and dried fruit for between meal snacks without mess and bother. Last item on the Bonnell's checklist, and a good idea for everyone, a spare key for the car safely tucked away in a magnetic container for emergencies. Yes, when it comes to getting ready to go, a real expert seems to think of everything.
Philip, are you sure you snapped the lock on the front door when you closed it?
Yes, sir, Dad. It's locked. Uh-oh, I just remembered something. My purse.
Where is it?
It's on the dining room table.
Okay, give me the keys. I'll go get it.
I hate to tell you this, but that's where all the house keys are, in my purse.
Oh.
The open road at last, ready to go places. Thanks to three small boys with hidden talent for burglary, only half an hour behind schedule. And who cares about schedules when they're vacation bound? Apparently, Pop does. But stepping on it is not the expert way to make up for lost time. The faster he goes, the fewer the miles on a tank full of gas. Much of the time he thinks he is saving by extra speed may actually be spent in extra refueling stops. Speed is expensive. For the average car, driving costs increase rapidly as driving speeds go up. So take it easy, Pop. That's right. You'll get there more economically, more safely, and probably just as soon if you drive at an efficient rate. Traveling at a steady, reasonable speed will let you cover more miles in a day, relaxed and comfortable. Experts make time by watching for ways to avoid business traffic in cities and towns. They plan their trips to avoid rush hour traffic at morning, noon, and evening in large cities on their route. Here's a time saver that works two ways. Whenever possible, combine all your requirements for service, such as gasoline, regular checks of oil, tires, and cooling system, in a single stop. Then you'll find you have plenty of time to get refreshment, exercise, and local information on highway conditions. Knowing how to get where you are going is one of the most important ways of saving time. But remember, it's so easy to get poor advice from people you just happen to meet along the road. Yep, down that way. Leastwise, he thinks so. Hey, wait, t'other way, t'other way. Oh, well.
I'm confused.
I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. I'm sleepy.
And I'm positive that old coot told us this was the shortcut to the main highway.
There's something written on that sign up there. I'll get out and see what it says. No matter where you think you are, you are lost.
With a good map, highway navigation can be very simple. Next time you travel, try marking the route with two pencil lines enclosing the highway. The arrows call attention to important information. Some travelers use the map to make an ingenious guide list of route numbers and key mileages. For a long trip, the list is broken into sections, each covering a map or a section of a map. When the guide list is handy to the steering wheel, you can check off the route changes as you make them. Then you'll always know where you are and what to look for to keep you on the road. A knowledge of direction often helps you get where you are going. Did you know that you can use your watch as a compass if the sun is shining? Point the hour hand directly at the sun. Midway between the hour hand and 12 o'clock is approximately south. That's all there is to it. However, you'll find it pays to have a compass if you do a great deal of traveling in open country. When you're going places, knowing how to get ready to go and how to get where you're going are important. But knowing how to relax and have fun while you're going is most important of all. A good driver becomes steadily more alert and more efficient during the first 3 or 4 hours behind the wheel. After 4 hours of driving, his efficiency usually begins to drop unless he knows how to relax. The safest and most relaxed grip on the steering wheel is with the hands in what the experts call the 10-20 position. You'll cover more miles and arrive feeling more refreshed with your back straight and your head up than if you slouch behind the wheel. An occasional change in the position of the driver's seat also helps you stay comfortable and alert. Cross-country travel can be a rewarding experience for the whole family, but there are times when young passengers need something besides scenery to keep them happy and occupied. Here is a game that's fun for all. How far is it to that mountain ahead? Each member of the family guesses, and the closest guess scores a point. Many familiar parlor games become more enjoyable because they're played in a parlor on wheels. Spelling games and guessing games and license plate games inspired by the passing scene. On any cross-country vacation trip, the real expert is the one who takes the time to discover America. East or west, north or south, the awe-inspiring wonders of the Grand Canyon of the Colorado, the spectacular beauty of Zion National Monument, mighty Niagara, the sparkling waters of the Atlantic, the historic Southland. All these and 1,000 more within your easy reach. Isn't America wonderful? And aren't vacationers wonderful too?
We're the boys. We've come hundreds of miles to see all of this. Why aren't they out here to enjoy it?
Oh, they're back in the car planning next summer's vacation. They're reading a book.
Reading a book?
I think the title is How to Go to the Moon.
All right, so I've taken my helmet off to put my thinking cap on. We got to brainstorm some ways that we might track down that master of wanderlust, FreakSlice. What do you got, guys?
Yeah, I don't know, then. Normally I could be the guy to help you with this. I'm great at flying you across the country, across the world, back in time and all that. But, it's the middle of the summer. All my powers are kind of the weakest they've ever been. It took like everything I had just to get here and get you that message. So I don't know if I got what it takes to get you where you need to be this time.
Oh, gosh. Wow, I wasn't really expecting that. I thought you're usually, FreakSlice is really good at the traveling spells, but you're no slouch.
Oh, thank you.
And there was that time you took us back in time, and we actually met a guy who might have been FreakSlice or a precursor to or ancestor of. And, I was also thinking maybe if we did go back and get that guy, Minsley, I think his name was, right, it would at least make the armor thematically appropriate. But, I guess we're not going that route this episode. So, Blizzard Wizard, you know a thing or two about the sky, the atmosphere. Do you think maybe there are possibilities in air travel that we might pursue?
Yeah, absolutely. To get over to Oregon?
Yeah, actually that's where he said he was going, right? Portland, Oregon. So I'm not out and about much, at least not around, I don't travel that much at any other point of year other than Halloween.
We're going to have to go a bit against the jet stream to get out there, but I think it's possible.
Okay, well, to learn a little bit more about air travel, let's check out the short film, The Flying Businessman. We're learning a little bit about flying right now. Enjoy.
Attention, please. Flight 631 for Salt Lake City, Denver, and New York is now boarding at gate number 7. Board Flight 631, please. Attention, please. Flight 549 from Miami and intermediate cities. Now
down to Boston, over to El Paso, into Chicago, out to Portland, Oregon. 9.5 hours from coast to coast. 4.5 hours from Jackson, Mississippi to Detroit, Michigan. North, south, east, west. There are 27 scheduled airlines. There are almost 600 airline stops. Every major city, every state in the 48 touched on by the unseen high roads of the sky. The easiest method of travel yet devised by man. Businessmen in particular travel the airlines, buying, selling, developing, and organizing. The man with the briefcase, weaving the pattern of American business, carrying contracts and plans and specifications, breaking bottlenecks, meeting deadlines. The American businessman, transferring from airliner to air taxi, from one airplane to another, flying on to smaller towns, to plants and mines and mills, using the air taxi as the quickest and most efficient means of reaching his destination. Air taxis are convenient. Privately owned and operated, they are comfortable airplanes piloted by experienced and able men. There are more than 1,500 such operators licensed to carry people and property. Air transportation is their business. Ground transportation is also being provided for by many airport operators. Transportation after arrival has been a major problem. No one has realized this more clearly than the men who manage the airports. They're finding ways to meet the problem. One answer is the airport courtesy car. These cars are owned and maintained by the airport. They are furnished at a low charge and as a customer service to out-of-town people. Business flying is on the increase. So too are the airports providing this courteous service. To the flying businessman, the airport courtesy car is important. It is the last link in his transportation investment. Both civil type and military type airplanes have been converted into flying offices. These offices move over the country at speeds of from 150 to 300 miles an hour. More territory covered, far less travel time involved, and work goes on during the flight. They go when they wish and where they wish. They do business as usual in the comfort and privacy of the company-owned airplane. There are aircraft companies that specialize in designing executive airplanes. They are planned with an eye to comfort as well as efficiency, as carefully planned for privacy and livability as any home. They are designed to fit the needs of the owner, often with a living room area, built-in television, planters. Large picture windows are popular. Cabins and vestibules are soundproofed with sound-absorbing material. Tables and furnishings are specially designed. There is often an air-to-ground telephone. This company vice president flies at 12,000 feet elevation in a corporation-owned Martin B-26 conversion. He travels at 300 miles per hour in a soundproof, pressurized cabin capable of accommodating 16 people. Since many business flights are made at night, these airplanes are equipped for relaxation as well as work. Countless businessmen fly their own airplanes. The majority of airplane owners are over 40 years of age. Banker, salesman engineer, auto dealer, executive secretary, district distributor, sheep rancher, roller rink operator, machine builder, brace maker, broker, construction engineer, electrical contractor, plumber, doctor, combustion engineer, cattle buyer, retailer, builder, veterinary, salesman, repairman, lawyer, insurance agent. And then there are businessmen every day turning their thoughts to the airplane and learning to fly. This man is a qualified flight instructor. His business is teaching people to fly. He is understanding and courteous. He has a sound knowledge of airplanes and what they can do. It costs less than $100 to learn to fly, less than $500 to become a qualified licensed pilot. There's no age limit on learning to fly. First, the student pilot becomes acquainted with the functional parts of the airplane. He learns to check the airplane and to recognize for himself if it is ready to fly. This simple procedure is line checking. A pilot line checks his aircraft every time he flies. The modern airplane is well designed. Structurally, it is light and flexible and very strong. All aircraft wings are fundamentally the same shape. This shape is the basic airfoil. The tail assembly is checked. Once the student is acquainted with the outside of the airplane, instruction inside begins. He sits in the pilot seat, the instructor on his right. His instructor shows him that the wheel works smoothly and accurately. When he knows how to use the brakes and start the airplane, he is taught to taxi the airplane on the ground. He is taught ground courtesies and how to watch for other aircraft. Taxiing develops control which is later used on takeoff and landing. The same day, they fly. They stop at the end of the runway, brakes are set, gas is checked. It's opened, and the engine power is checked on each ignition system individually. The carburetor heat is checked by turning it on and off. The throttle is closed to the idling position. This is the engine check. Now the student sees if the airplane's controls move freely and easily. First, the aileron action. Then the wheel forward and back for the elevator. Rudder pedals in and out for the rudder fin. Line check, engine check, and control check are performed before every flight. The instructor releases the brakes, opens the throttle, and as the airplane takes off, dual instruction begins. With the rudder, the airplane is kept from turning. After it has gained speed, the elevator is brought up and the airplane takes off. The airplane is equipped with dual controls, and the student can easily follow the movements of the rudder. He is shown one simple maneuver at a time and then is allowed to practice it. By this method, he learns to fly the airplane exactly where he wants it to go. With less than 5 hours of dual instruction, the average person will handle the airplane in a confident manner. Before a student is allowed to solo, he must be proficient at takeoff and landing. He is taught air courtesy and to fly a good pattern around the airport. He practices many spot landings. By the time he has had 10 hours of dual instruction, he can land and take off with confidence, without help or advice from his instructor. Before a student solos, he must know the basic civil air regulations governing air traffic. When the instructor is satisfied that his student knows the simple regulations and that he is capable of flying the airplane alone, he asks him to make 3 takeoffs and 3 landings. On his first solo flight, the student is required to put into use all that he has learned. He has been taught to watch for other aircraft. He has been taught to make a proper final approach. He knows how to keep the proper airspeed, control wheel forward for more airspeed and wheel back for less. As he approaches the runway, he slows down. And as the airplane touches the ground, the control wheel is all the way back. After 40 hours of mixed dual and solo flying, he passes the regulation flight check. He takes a written examination which assures that he understands the basic principles of map reading, weather, and flight. His instructor checks him out in other airplanes. Now, a qualified licensed pilot, the businessman is interested in finding the specific airplane that will meet his needs. His hours in the air while learning to fly and while taking his cross-country flight instruction have been planned to do double duty. Each flight has been a business trip. His travel time has been cut 80%. He knows exactly how airplane ownership will benefit him. American aircraft designers and manufacturers are developing new airplanes. The Aero Car, both ground vehicle and airplane. The Hummingbird Channel Wing. "90% of all airplane owners pilot their own airplanes. They use executive types such as the Aero Commander. the 4 or 5 place 310 Cessna, manufactured in Wichita, Kansas. The 6th place Bonanza, also manufactured in Wichita. They used the popular 4th place Bonanza. The Piper Super Cub, a workhorse of the sky. The Call Air from Afton, Wyoming. Aeroncas. Stinsons. Air Coups. Luscombe's. Navions. There are all kinds of airplanes. Their biggest single user is the businessman. The economics of time and travel have made them a vital part of America's life.
Whoa, this is an interesting experiment. Blizzard Wizard, what have we got going on here?
We've got a cloud beneath us to try to get to Portland.
Oh, well, we're certainly hovering all right.
It's way rougher than my sleigh. I've never traveled like this.
But can you make it go up any?
Yeah, we just gotta heat it up, I think, which I'm not very good at. But
Okay, yeah, hot air rises, but too bad you're the cold wizard.
yeah,
Oh,
this is mediocre, but
we can breathe on it like we're...
Oh man, if I had my magic right now, we'd be just like soaring. Like, it would be amazing. We'd be going so fast. I'm great. I'm good at
Oh,
magic.
man. All right,
Dang.
well, guess we can't quite get off the ground. And it's kind of dissipating now. Oh, well,
this is embarrassing.
it's okay. We won't tell anybody.
Yeah.
I know it almost never happens. And, well, FreakSlice now, he's out in Portland, I guess. He's beyond our grasp, at least for the time being. But you know what? He lives on in our hearts, don't you know?
That's true. Yeah.
It seems that FreakSlice may be beyond our grasp, at least for the time being. He's out in Portland, Oregon, and we're here at some unspecified point beneath the ground, and we're mobily challenged. But you know what I think? I think that FreakSlice lives on in our hearts, right, guys?
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah. There's a lot of things that live in our hearts.
Yeah,
Parasites and stuff like that.
that's true.
Worms.
We're due for a deworming.
Yeah.
And so, you know what else? We've also got the internet, which keeps us connected more than at any other point in human history. And no matter where we go, we'll never really be out of touch. We've also got public access television. And what was that point that I so
Well, I was
rudely
just gonna
cut
say
short?
he should have moved to Portland sooner. I mean, if we can communicate with him online.
Get on out of there.
Why waste that in-person time, right?
That's true. Good point. That's why I don't waste any in-person time with you, because it's all about watching screens. It's all about tuning in and dropping out, and that's what Gauntly supports. And so I say to FreakSlice, enjoy your new start in a new part of the country, and remember that you got friends in all the parts you leave behind. We'll always be there for you. And heck, now we've got somebody out on the West Coast looking out for us. So, Godspeed. And keep watching bad movies.
I know you like plants, FreakSlice, and I hear they got a lot of plants out on the West Coast, so enjoy the greenery.
Yeah. And I'll say, FreakSlice, you are always an important part of whatever on earth is going on here at Gauntly. You'll always have a place here, and we hope you find some great success wherever you're going.
And now seems as good a time as any to announce that the destination episode this year in October will be taking us to the Pacific Northwest. Up to and potentially including Portland, Oregon. Haven't finalized the itinerary, but we've got a house out in Nakata, Washington. And the idea is to take a means of conveyance, like we've learned about in our episode here today. Probably something with wheels, and we are going to travel around to paranormal tourist traps throughout the Pacific Northwest for Gauntly Halloween lucky number 7.
Oh, wait a minute. What's this? I think I got another message from FreakSlice here. It's my
wow, that just magically
little message.
manifested there. Do you think your powers are coming back?
Maybe a little bit.
Little
it's
you,
enough
little
for
him?
this message at any rate. What does it say?
Dear Gauntly and crew, here's another video for you.
Oh, guys, I'm gonna miss you so much. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, I will be alone, yet I will not be alone. I will have you all in my heart. Every day I will remember Thelonious, Ogrot, Gauntly especially, even what's Chris's?
The glorious leader.
Even the glorious leader, even him and his obstinate ways. I will hold your words tight in my heart, and I will feel alive. Thank you.
Ah, well, that really plucks the heartstrings.
Sure does.
I think we've brought things to a meaningful conclusion. And just as always, we say, pleasant nightmares.
New horizons. In a restless search for new opportunities and new ways of living, the mystery and the promise of distant horizons always have called men forward. First wondering, then searching, then continuing to explore, men have moved on and on, always to find that old horizons opened the way to new horizons. In a search that has continued for centuries, some far distant view, with its promise of the unseen and its promise of the unknown, has forever fathered the impulse to seek for new things in new places. New horizons, roads for men to go places. The accelerating rate of men's progress in all fields of endeavor has paralleled closely our progress in the freedom of movement from place to place. New things to do and new ways to do them. Telephone, electric lights, automobiles, aircraft, all are symbols of better living. New places to go, and new means of getting there. With a growing appreciation of the wisdom of applying the road tax monies to the road building program for which they were designed, highway development is going on at a rapidly increasing pace. created by the crossing of new horizons, new ways of living and new thinking have laid the foundation for most of what is good in life today, with the promise of more tomorrow. As distant families have become neighbors, and as people have constantly widened their viewpoints while multiplying the number of their contacts, more desires have developed to be satisfied. And with the demand for all of these conveniences and improvements, opportunities for employment of men, money, and materials have increased. And thus the highways of social and commercial developments are widening without end or limit, except the imagination, vision of men who do new things. Today, engineers are always leading us higher, widening the trails, while our men of science are broadening all our mental avenues with new activities, activities based on modern pioneering into new fields of research. Men exploring and pioneering for all to follow, men endlessly seeking something new along the roads of civilization in the great unknown expanses of applied science and scientific research. All the new highways of research and exploration have brought to us more raw materials, new combinations of raw materials, new and greater productivity of the soil, making more plentiful an ever-widening range of goods. And as these goods come down from the farm, the mine, and the mill, progress on all the highways of human activity leads us to more opportunities for employment. An ever-widening range of goods made ever more plentiful, from east to west, from north to south. Our greatest strides in providing more things for more people have been made at a time when the influence of new geographical frontiers was about over. Mentally and physically, we are progressing toward new horizons. To help us get a glimpse into the future of this unfinished world of ours, there has been created for the New York World's Fair a thought-provoking exhibit of the developments ahead of us, the greater and better world of tomorrow that we in America are building today. A vivid tribute to the American scheme of living, whereby individual effort, the freedom to think, and the will to do have given birth to a generation of men who always want new fields for greater accomplishment, and will always find new things for all others to enjoy. Come, let's travel into the future. What will we see? And now we have arrived in this wonder world of 1960. The World's Fair exhibit, modeled with such artistry and skill that we must continually remind ourselves the world we are now seeing is a vision, an artistic conception which may undergo many changes as it develops into the great realities of tomorrow. Sunshine, trees, hills and valleys, flowers and flowing streams. This world of tomorrow is a world of beauty. These eternal things, wrought by God, are lovely and unchanging. 20 years have passed. With new agriculture and industry, with new forms of education, recreation, a new world is constantly opening before us at an ever-accelerating rate of progress. A greater world, a better world, a world which always will grow forward. Man has forged ahead. New and better things have sprung from his industry and his genius. Here is a modern farm. The farmer of 1960 works in greater security, for science and research have helped him to control many of the risks of agriculture. Hours of work have been shortened, with almost universal electrification of rural areas. Fruit trees bear abundantly under individual glass housings. Orchards are protected against disease and insects. Science even influences pollination by artificial feeding. Does it seem strange? Unbelievable? Remember, this is the world of 1960, and physics and chemistry have joined hands with the farmer in helpful friendship. Here are the farm roads of the community. They have been improved and made to flow into great motorways. This superb one-direction highway, with its 7 lanes accommodating traffic at designated speeds of 50, 75, and 100 miles an hour, is engineered for easy grades and for speed with safety. Cars from the farm roads and feeder lanes join the motorway traffic at the same speed as cars traveling in the lane they enter. Here is an aeration plant, purifying the lake water and distributing it for hundreds of miles throughout the countryside. Here is a highway intersection. Highway engineering at its most spectacular. Traffic may move safely and easily without loss of speed. By means of the ramped loops, cars may make right and left turns at rates of speed up to 50 miles per hour. Elevated and depressed are the turning off lanes. There is no interference from the straight-ahead traffic in the higher speed lanes. The motorist of 1960 finds this intersection safe and efficient. The two-directional traffic of the motorway, which merged at the intersection, separates again. The highway surface is automatically lighted by continuous tubing in the highway safety curbing, which evenly illuminates the road surface. What's this just ahead? An amusement park, 1960. Man's progress has brought more leisure for amusement and recreation, bringing them within easier reach of more people. Industrial communities have gone ahead by multiplying the conveniences and comforts of living. Hundreds of comfortable homes for workers. All people benefited by broadening their scope of living, gaining by advanced means of communication and new methods of work. Here is a thriving and prosperous steel town. Notice the furnaces glowing, river and rolling mills. In the foreground is a model airport, an efficient combination of motor, air, and rail transportation in the world of tomorrow. And now we see an enlarged section of 1960s express motorway. Along the ledge of this beautiful precipice, traffic moves at unreduced rates of speed. Safe distance between cars is maintained by automatic radio control. Curved sides assist the driver in keeping his car within the proper lane under all circumstances. The keynote of this motorway, safety. Safety with increased speed. This 1960 drama of transportation progress is but a symbol of future progress in every activity made possible by constant striving toward new and better horizons. Now we see ahead a steep, challenging mountain climb. Here we see a quiet and peaceful religious retreat, seemingly growing from the rocks as it looks out over the lake and foothills. The slower lanes of the motorway wind in and about the foothills. But from this point on, tunnel and cling to the precipitous rock faces. One marvels at its complete accord with the breathtaking scenic beauty of its route. In the valley ahead, a picturesque resort town. Farther on is a canal with a series of flood control locks. And just beyond, a giant mountain lake dam with its spillway, companion buildings, and hydroelectric power plants, providing power and light for hundreds of miles around. The motorway continues through the mountains. Without tedious travel, the advantages of living in a small town are within easy reach, bringing the people who live there into closer relations with all the world around. Over space, man has begun to win victory. Space living, space for working, space for pay, all available for more people than ever before. Over a spectacular suspension bridge, the motorway enters a large city, spanning the navigable river on which it is situated and forming a gateway to the city. A feature of this bridge is the elimination of congestion and the elimination of interference from all the various converging motorways and from all the feeder roads. And now we see a great river city of 1960. 20 years ago, the population of this city was approximately 1 million persons. It is much larger, rebuilt and replanned. Residential, commercial, and industrial areas all have been separated for greater efficiency and greater convenience. A vast circular airport is close to the city with a giant dirigible hangar. So that it can be turned easily to meet any wind direction, it is resting in a pool of liquid. Outside is an airport with its hangars and planes. There are special facilities for handling sea of the inland airports of 1960. Here is an American city replanned around a highly developed, modern traffic system. The parks of the city have continuity, proper placement. These areas are united into long green strips surrounding each community. Along both banks of the river, beautifully landscaped parks replace the outworn areas of an older day. An industrial docking basin, newly completed, takes care of all the shipping from the adjacent industrial area. On all express city thoroughfares, the rights of way have been so rooted as to displace outmoded business sections and undesirable slum areas whenever possible. Man continually strives to replace the old with the new. A quarter of a mile high skyscrapers tower with convenient rest and recreational facilities for all. On many of the buildings are landing decks for helicopters and autogyros. Rich in sunshine is the city of 1960. Fresh air, fine green parkways, recreational and civic centers. Modern and efficient city planning, breathtaking architecture, each city block a complete unit in itself. Here is an important intersection in the great metropolis of 1960. Elevated sidewalks give a new measure of safety and convenience to pedestrians. They actually double the available width for traffic in the street. And so, we see some suggestion of the things to come. A world which, far from being finished, is hardly yet begun. A world with a future in which all of us are tremendously interested, because that is where we are going to spend the rest of our lives. In a future which can be whatever we propose to make it. True, each of us may have different ideas as to what that future will be. But every forward outlook reminds us that all the highways of all research and all communication, all the activities of science, lead us onward to better methods of doing things, with new opportunities for employment and better ways of living, as we go on determined to unfold the constantly greater possibilities of the world of tomorrow. As we move more and more rapidly forward, penetrating new horizons in the spirit of individual enterprise, in the great American way.